I love everything about this.
Let me sit back and enjoy this for just a moment.
I just imagine a noodle just dangling at me.
So,
Over there.
so you've got the counter that's over there at the back of the restaurant, and then over to the right is kind of the opening where people walk back and forth and then get to the door in the back, and the pristine counter is interrupted by a fusillade of noodles that has been launched by the esteemed Dr. Loom. And so, what is it that you say again when you launch the noodles there?
Then I wonder who it is who is standing over here.
Oh, shoom! Splat! Good gracious me! My word! There's no need to disregard the people's cuisine here in such a way. And like you hear footsteps clicking again as they come around the counter, and you see the diminutive form of a gnome walking around the side
with noodles.
He's got some noodles on his left shoulder, and he kind of brushes it away. He pulls a napkin, not like a monogram type affair, but he pulls a napkin from a coat pocket and he kind of brushes at it and he says, "Well, good gracious, I suppose that I should have announced my arrival a little bit more clearly." He waves to the counter. I see the interference here. Hello. How are all of you? I assume that you have made it here in time. Look, you've made it here in time to avoid the rain, the worst of it. Very good. Very good. I'm most pleased to have you here. Shall I order you another plate of noodles?
At this point, Dove is going to stand up and be like towering over the gnome.
God.
And be like, I would rather you take this time to tell us why you have gathered us here.
Oh, quite right. I see that you've all have you all made acquaintances? Have you exchanged names? No, just noodles.
You could call it an acquaintance.
Well,
I am not sure that my current dining companions would say the same.
Oh,
For all of it is holy good man. Will you get to the point before I cover you with food again?
Precisely.
Quite right, Dr. Loom. Quite right. And he plucks a piece of pork from his shoulder and oh, terrible waste. He eats it up. And
I'm not getting
he
paid for
he
this,
looks
am
he looks back and the kitchen door opens again and the waiter comes out and he actually has another chair that he's bringing up, and you realize that you all have taken all of the chairs that were available at least this evening in the place. So he brings over another chair and puts it at the table, and the gnome waves for everybody. Please, come, have a seat, please. Oh, my word. Please, Fabian, please, another plate of noodles for the good doctor here, if you would, please. And I will have the same. I just had a taste of that pork. Please, pork chow mein, if you will, sir. And for the first time, you actually see an expression on the waiter's face, and it's a small smile at the corner of his lips. And he bows and he turns back after placing the chair down. Well, let me. My goodness, I need to catch my breath here. First off, I do apologize for the mystery surrounding your invitations here. I definitely want to go ahead and put that out there as an apology for any stress that I may have caused you. My name is Winston Clarkson. I am very pleased to meet all of you. I've heard your names spoken through my word of mouth, and I thought quite possibly we might be able to meet. I know that you all have particular stories, very differing backgrounds, and I think that perhaps a culmination of our efforts could perhaps help each and every one of you. He's actually looking a little bit nervous, like he doesn't normally do this. He pauses a little bit flustered, and he's kind of going over to his chair, and you notice that he's wearing a kind of a almost like a tweed suit, almost a little bit darker colored. Looks like it's seen better days. Like this may be a good suit for him, and he moves around in it comfortably. But he's definitely not trying to put on any airs or anything. But he does have that suit on. He has a tie. He has like a little bowler hat that he has on top of his head, and he's got these wisps of white hair that are coming out to the side. So who among you has had any experience with gnomes?
I probably would have.
Okay. How about anybody else?
Certainly.
I don't think very many are in the military. Yeah.
Not a lot. They sometimes they more often will use like Holdu folk for like scouts, that sort of thing, rather than gnomes. Yeah. But okay, so Dove, you would recognize this, that he's fairly advanced in years. And advanced in years for a gnome is probably talking triple digits, if not close to that.
Yeah, definitely over 100.
Right. So he...
for those of you keeping track, because we've kind of mentioned that varying races have different age breakdowns, beastmen are actually very much like humans. The average age, I think, said they get up to about their 60s or 70s.
Roughly, yeah. So, and with gnomes, they have an extended lifespan, usually in the 110s to 120s, that sort of thing. So, good point. So he sits down in the chair. Sorry, he sits down and stares at you. He gets into his chair, and the chair, you notice, actually has a bit of a higher seat, so that he's kind of chest height at the table rather than looking like he's a child and like this, kind of looking up. And it says, "Well, I hope that the food is to your liking. It's all free of charge. I don't want to cause any indigestion, anything by expenses of any sort. This is purely a theory, a work in progress that I would like to. Oh, my goodness." I don't get out much. I guess it's quite obvious, and he's like dabbing at his forehead.
As he's kind of stumbling over his words, he's like, "Sir, I would ask that you get on with it."
I have questions, sir. I have questions.
Yes, quite right. I'm sure you all have a significant amount of questions, and all worthy of answers. So he dabs at his forehead, and he places his hat down, puts it onto like the chair back right there, and straightens his tie a little bit. And so, as I said, my name is Winston. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here forgetting my name. My name is Winston Clarkson, and perhaps we'll go around the room and introduce one another. I know your names. I don't wish to alarm you that I know your names, but I do know who you are. But please, introduce one another. Shall we start with you, my rather large friend here? And he points to you, Dove.
I am Dove Poltzen. I am the owner of the Iron Ursus on Blackfriars.
Yes, a worker of the steel. Beautiful tradition. Yes. And he nods to you, Alyssa, to Monsieur Joyot. And you, my young lad.
And Monsieur Joyot's kind of French persona has been slipping in this whole completely confusing nonsense. So he is going to put it right back on to no one's not going to fool anybody at this point. But Monsieur Clarkson, I am Monsieur Joyot. It is a pleasure to make my acquaintance with the Monsieurs and Mademoiselle here.
Very nice, very nice.
Bonsoir.
Oh, and bonsoir. Bonsoir to you as well. And he actually affects a little bit of a like he's gonna drift into French, but then he holds himself back and he stops. And then he
would probably not be for the best.
And so he gives you a wink, and then he looks over to Miss Russell.
She kind of nods politely. I am Miranda Russell, recently arrived from Hong Kong via a rather circuitous route. That's kind of all she says.
World traveler, excellent. I do wish to pick your brain about a few things, some things that I've been reading. Never mind. And you, yes, you. He's looking at the dwarf. I do apologize for any feelings of subterfuge, but please introduce yourself.
I am Dr. Loom, and I do not enjoy being trifled with. And since I have it on the best authority by these miscreants that you have gathered around me, that none of their mentors practice magic, I must assume that you're not one of them. So I would like to hear immediately how you got their mentors to trick us here, what you intend us to do with, and if you do not get to the point immediately, I swear by all that is holy, I'm going to find the nearest oven and cook you in it.
I love the doctor.
He kind of like, if he could take a step back, he probably would have, but he kind of shrinks in his seat a little bit.
Dr. Lim is enjoying actually being able to tower over someone.
He shrinks back. He says, good gracious me, and he dabs at his forehead again with his napkin or his handkerchief. Please, good doctor, your patience for just a few more moments will not be wasted, because I do seek the talents that you present, the knowledge that you bring to the table, extraordinary knowledge. Please, and you, good sir. He points over at the lieutenant.
I am Lieutenant Albion Blackwell III, and as much as it pains me to say this, I must agree with the eloquent doctor here. I don't enjoy having my evenings wasted with such riffraff.
Riffraff.
Quite right. I fully understood. Well, let me say this then. I have brought you all here together because word has arrived with me that you could use a change in life. Miss Russell, you are newly arrived in London and seeking to establish roots, yes, to set up a place to live and grow and to find new understanding in this different place after leaving Hong Kong. And you, good doctor, I will not disclose other things that the other group here may not know, but I do want to say that I feel that there is a great loss in this society, in your profession, by not seeing past the walls that were placed before you, and not by your own doing. You have much to offer, Doctor.
Sure, I have no idea what you're talking about. He sort of gives him a stern look.
Let's place that aside for a moment. For you, Lieutenant, I know that you seek to continue your service in the military. There's nothing better than to serve one's country in such a fashion. Such a wonderful thing to put one's own body on the line for great things. And I mean no disrespect to our Russian counterpart, but every able body and sharp mind is needed for the war in Crimea. But there is something further that you're looking into, something that you seek before you go after this new commission, and I wish to help you find it. I wish to broaden your horizons and to illuminate your past. Yes, to eliminate your past and find truth in it. And that, I think, could apply to everybody here. To leverage the things that they know in the past to move forward and shine light on the future. That is what I wish to do. Is what I wish to do and see you all accomplish. Monsieur Julio, I see in you a he actually like kind of mutters something in French, and then he looks back and he says, "I see in you an ability to see through shadow, to see through to truth. I can't speak. I am very, very nervous. I apologize." And he like pulls out his napkin again, and he's wiping his forehead, his bald head, and again that white whispers of hair around him. But then there is the noble dove, Bosun, your strength, the rigidity that you have faced your future and your present, even though the scars of the past are always fresh in your mind. There is a strength that you can offer the people I work with, myself, that I think is invaluable. And I think together there is something special that could be put to use. And I don't mean that in any kind of dark intention. Put to use, I mean to shine light. And like as he says that, the lightning outside just kind of flashes, this huge burst, and like thunder crashes, and it kind of rattles the windows in the restaurant. And he kind of he's like, good gracious, yes. So I'm sure you have questions. Please ask your questions of me, and I will do my very best to provide information.
Enough with the poetry. What is it you want us to actually do?
Well,
Fine poetry, but I must agree with Monsieur Polzin here. I kind of went Russian there.
then, yes. I work with a group that, on the surface, seems that we do a lot of reading, a lot of books in our lives, yes. We read a lot, but we seek to find the truth in the words that we read. It is often said that history is written by the victors, and sometimes those victors are not always just in their description of the past. And I think each of you has been touched by such things, that just the slightest misrepresentation of ourselves can spread like a wildfire. And that is what I seek to do, is to seek truth. And I think something that could start for all of you would be to help me in finding something. Help me in finding a book, a particular book that I need found. And it is, to my understanding, that it was brought into the docks just this evening. And I would ask that you would be able to retrieve this book and to verify its authenticity for me. That would be my request. Are you interested at all? What questions?
Such wonderful conversation about truth, but you have not yet illuminated the truth behind why you want this book, or why you want this group in particular to find it.
Well,
Indeed, we know much. You know much of us, but we know little of you.
Indeed.
You can find more information about me and verify the veracity of my claims right now. I work at the reading room at the British Museum. I am one of the curators there, and I and a few other individuals work together to fill the reading room with information. And it is here, this repository of books and literature and history, that more knowledge can be found about the world around us and even about ourselves. And this
One last
book...
question.
Oh yes, please.
One last question. Will there be any manner of compensation for this?
But of course,
I'm in.
He's about to say something else, and he sees that, and he's like, "Oh, well, remuneration, oh my gosh, I can't even speak. Yes, the payment is available, but I would ask that perhaps you keep your minds open to also the possibility of longer service."
Basically, at this point, Dove is not impressed. And he basically says, if you're looking for someone who can pick up a package at the docks, I can get you in touch with my boy. I have a man who comes and brings me things from the docks. I am not this man. I have things to do.
But it is your very reputation, Mr. Polson, that I am seeking. It is your reputation in this area, near the docks, as the hammer that will help me.
He kind of crosses his arms and is like, it's been a while. He's like, I don't see you around my part of town. How is it you know about this?
Well, it would seem that we know of whom is wishing to acquire this book, for their own reasons, for money, that sort of thing. But I know that this group has crossed paths with you before. A certain Irish group that you have successfully vanquished.
Before you even finish that sentence, he goes, no, it cannot be. He's like, they caught my hammer.
Yes, quite. But they still maintain some influence. It is not all of them.
At that point, Dove is like, I'm in.
Very good, thank you. How about the rest of you?
Well, I know a little of Irish bear hammers, and books bore me, so I'm still at rather of a loss on what this has to do with me, Mr. Winston.
A good question, Lieutenant. I will say that this particular book was stolen from a man. It was originally in the possession of a particular general that you are familiar with.
Really?
And out of character, I'm kind of referencing the
Sure,
contract
sure.
you're developing.
So you'd reference my actual contact. So at that point, the lieutenant is obviously, his interest is perked.
It is a tome that he found abroad in service and sought to send it home. But unfortunately, the book was intercepted.
I see.
What type of book is this?
Well, it is a book of practices. Yes. And he actually looks towards Dr. Loom at this point. It is a book that was written in probably about 150 years ago, during the times when some of the first settlements were going into the Dark Continent. And it contains information that I think would be most beneficial to some of your studies, good doctor.
That may or may not be, but it seems to me that you are looking for a thief. You're looking for someone to steal a stolen book.
Not at all.
Thief,
Not at all,
sir.
good doctor. Not at all, good doctor. No. You mistake me. We seek a reclaimer to bring the book back to its proper possession, which is within the British Museum, which was its original destination.
So you're saying that this book was bound for the museum and someone stole it, and you want someone to steal it back from the thieves?
Correct. Yes, quite. And then he like immediately looks over at Miss Russell and he says, and there is information there that is quite intriguing that describes a how do I say a different paths and roads that lead from the Dark Continent and into Asia.
Well, at the mention of the book that was destined for the museum and stolen before it could get there, you already had her attention quite a bit.
So it's there.
So,
Yeah.
as
You already had.
as you know, I
joint
am
attention to.
as you know, I am very new to the city. However, my interest in the British Museum is quite intense, and my interests in knowing your affiliation with the museum and your goals here, I would be inclined to provide what little assistance that I could.
Oh, delightful. Oh, excellent. This is turning out quite better than I thought. Originally, I had all the subterfuge things, trying to get everybody to meet, and oh my gosh, I had to work on all of these things and getting caught up. But never mind. Yes, I'm delighted to hear that you are all interested. This is a most excellent turn of events. So, let me. He turns back and he signals, and the back door opens, the kitchen door opens again, and the waiter comes out, and he has a platter in one hand, and it has a couple of boxes, has one or three sets of envelopes that's in it, and then in his right hand he has a satchel, like one of those nice leather satchels with the fold over top and everything. And so he's walking in, and the lightning crashes again. Thunder strikes and flashes bright on the windows outside, and he stops. And you see the second expression of his life, or your experience with him, and that's surprise, as he's looking past you to the front door. And so
Turn to the front door.
everybody looks at the front door, and outside, it's black outside now. The rain has gotten a lot heavier, a lot faster. It's pounding down. And the lightning flashes once more, and you see three shapes, humanoid shapes. One at the front door, one at the window on the left, and one at the window on the right. And all you see are these large humanoid shapes, not as big as Dove, but outlined in black. And as the light from the flashing of the lightning fades, you see the glint of steel as it trails along the window on the right. And you hear that unmistakable screeching sound of metal going across the window as it kind of travels up your spine. And that's where we'll close the evening.
That's evil.
Bring me to anything.
Oh, you players who are not used to Jeff doing that to you.
Oh, man. Great work, you guys. I'll have to work on editing this one down, I guess, because we went an hour and 20 minutes, a lot longer than I thought. So all you guys out there, you're going to hear this closing segment here, but I will probably have this broken up into 3 separate episodes in and of itself, just so for matters of viewing pleasure. But thanks everybody for joining us. We are going to shoot for getting together here in another couple weeks, but I think we have put together several episodes that will keep you happy for the time being. So once again, thanks for joining us at InnRoads Plays. Like I said, get out there and roll some dice. Thanks.
Okay.